What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 311 of Opinions May Vary. I am your host, JR, and my co-host with me, Alex.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's good.
Yeah, we're trying this. We're doing it. We're going to get through it this time.
Yeah.
Joining us this week, someone we had the pleasure of running into a couple times throughout the con season last year.
Mm-hmm.
Never really got to strike up much of a conversation or anything because mostly because he was always flocked by other people who were also trying to talk to him. Because the cosplay game was on point, to put it lightly. But joining us this week is our pal Savage. Savage, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing?
Just living the dream, man. Just living the dream, one day at a time. But
Sounds good.
We initially had bumped into you last year at ConnectiCon. Was the first time, right? I believe.
I'll say officially, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, I have to really give it to Colin more because Colin took a really sweet boomerang Snapchat clip.
Instagram.
It's what am I? I'm already lost.
Get your social media.
It was on Instagram and it looked really cool. That was and I was like, what is that? I need to know more about this. And luckily somehow I was able to look you up. I contacted you over Instagram and I was like, can you please explain to me, what you made so I can get it right so we can talk about it better? Because, I don't want to, once we do our recap episode and talk about who we met, I want to just try and make sure we get it right. Because at first I thought it might have been a Metapod, and I think I confused it with a Kamen Rider.
Kamen Rider.
Yeah. And you were like, no, it's a Guyver. And I was like, that made so much sense.
It's a what?
Guyver.
What's that?
You never saw Guyver?
I've seen MacGyver.
It's...
Is that not the same?
Nope, it is not. Do you have an explanation for it? You could probably explain it better than I can.
Guyver is an anime series that were around in the late 80s, and it's a violent miniseries that had this guy that found an alien unit that gave him the ability to transform into essentially a hero with internal armor that encapsulates him when he is in need of it. And then he goes fight these monsters. So it's almost like a adult version of Power Rangers, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm in.
My first experience was actually they made a live action movie of it, which wasn't that good, but the costumes were cool.
No, definitely not good, but the sequel was a little better though.
And even what little I've come across here and there, there's different suits. There's Guyver 1, Guyver 2, and so there's an evolution to it as well. But yeah, the monsters are gross.
Nice.
They get pretty disgusting.
That's the best kind.
Yeah.
You used to see it on the late night commercials.
Yeah, something like
order
that.
this anime because it's disgusting. And I felt like I wasn't supposed to be seeing that commercial. I was too young for it.
Right. But as we were chatting, Savage explained it would be nice if he could get together a whole flock, and also have a Caterpie and Butterfree.
Butterfree. Yeah.
I had to pause. Beedrit, nope.
You've
it's
been
not
playing
Beedrit.
Pokemon Go religiously for 2 years now.
I'm kind of jealous because when I was, going through Savage's stuff, he's posting some snapshots, some screen caps of levels I don't have anywhere hope of getting near. And I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, the game's evolved a little bit since I played.
Yeah.
Back in the day when it was I got really excited because I caught a Jigglypuff, and then there seems to be a lot more cause for excitement now. But
I do want to say but to Savage's credit, he was so cool because I asked some simple questions and he sent me, what was it, a preliminary sketch of what you wanted to make, and then there was even a demo shot of the helmet in construction. How many cosplays have you done? Is this in Alphonse the first big level build, or have you done others before this?
I've done others before. I've done many Transformers that actually transform.
That's awesome.
So yeah, those costumes were cool, but it was very annoying at times because people would constantly ask me to transform, which is takes a lot of energy.
Yeah. Do the thing I just did it 5 minutes
I
ago.
literally just did it like 16
Yeah.
times.
Right,
Go ask him.
exactly.
He took a video. You can see it there.
Come back in a half hour. I need some water.
A couple years back at PAX, when I was dressed as the Transformer, people
Yeah.
will ask me to transform. I got so tired that I told them, like, if you meet me at this certain area at a certain time, and then I'll transform then, and then like it became like a whole event.
Just do it once for like the big crowd so everyone can see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like start passing out like show times and flyers.
Come see me transform.
Pretty much.
What's your preferred medium? Because I know a lot of people use certain foam stuff, but what you had taped out didn't look like it was the foam unless you were going to go over that with a different layer of something.
Yeah, I actually like using EVA foam
Uh-huh.
and all different types of thickness of it. Yeah, and I'm pretty good at working that material now.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, just looking at, like, I've been scrolling your Instagram essentially the entire time we've been talking, but even looking at, because we mostly, I mean, personally, Alex has seen you in a couple different outfits, but I've mainly seen you in the Metapod, which if you were at ConnectiCon, at really a lot of the East Coast conventions, because you're based out of Boston, right?
Yes, I am.
Right. You've most likely seen Savage. There's a really good chance of it. I think we saw you at Boston Comic Con.
I know I saw Alphonse, but I don't remember if I saw Metapod.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at Boston Comic Con.
But even looking like at old pictures from ConnectiCon this past year and then more recent pictures, just the Metapod alone has evolved so much. Like it is.
Did you have lights on it last year?
I didn't have lights at ConnectiCon. I recently added the lights for Dragon Con.
Uh-huh.
I hear that's
So,
the con
yeah,
to
like,
add lights for.
Yeah. So slowly I've been evolving the Metapod into where it is now.
Uh-huh. Because like the pictures of you with the Eevee armors,
Yes.
it was a good like equality there, because like what you had stepped up from the previous iteration that we've seen, like the lights really helped, and the lights really helped you like meet up with what all those Eevees had made, which was really
Right.
cool.
What was awesome was I actually when I was making my Metapod, I was looking online to see any reference or any inspiration,
Yeah.
and I actually ran and then I saw their builds, and I been looking up their work for inspiration, and they had actually contacted me through Instagram saying that they love my work and that we should meet up one day, and then Katsucon was the day, and we finally first met up, and it was cool to meet them. And what was great was I actually inspired them, so I was like, wow, I inspired someone who inspired me.
That's pretty rad.
It's like a rotation. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm really glad that the community is willing to reach out and compliment each other and ask for help or say like what you made helped me. It's nice that we have that.
yeah, it's awesome to meet people like that.
How did you I'm gonna hit with the generic question, but it's one of those questions that I have to ask every time because it's so interesting. How'd you get into this? Like, have you been going to cons for a while? Like, what's your background? How'd you get into the cosplaying scene?
Well, I've always been artistic. I've been drawing ever since I could remember, and then Halloween was big for me. Every year, I will always try to outdo my costumes, and people will always expect me to do better every year. So, and then finally, someone suggested that I should go to conventions, and I kind of hesitated for a while. I'm like, I don't know, and I finally went. I finally went to a convention back in 2007.
Do you remember which one it was?
it was Anime Boston,
Yep.
and I dressed up as a Zuko from Airbender, the last Airbender,
Okay.
and I had like a I had like a this makeup on that was took a while to put on and contact and everything. So I pretty much went all out for that character, and people start to take notice, my abilities, and I enjoyed the con. And ever since then, I've been going to like almost every con.
Which definitely like watching, the pictures spring up. It's like, oh, there he is at Dragon Con. There he is at Katsucon. Like, definitely like putting an effort to get around, which even that like isn't easy, but it does seem worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, the farthest con I've been to was Dragon Con, and for me, is the best con I've ever been to. It's the one that's worth it if you only go to one con a year.
Have you been? Because you went this past year, right?
Yes,
Have you? Was that the first time you've ever been to Dragon Con?
it's my third time.
Third time. Third time's still the best.
Yeah.
I mean, that says a lot because like, it can be tough for a show to live up to like the first time you went. Oh my God, that was the best show I've ever gone to.
Yeah,
I really hope it's still that next time. But that's one that as like the years go on and seeing more and more pictures coming out of it, and like I'm not a big cosplayer. I want to go to it so bad though, just to experience it. But
Oh yeah, you definitely don't need to be a cosplayer to enjoy the whole scene with that. It's amazing.
One of my
It takes place all in downtown Atlanta.
yeah.
right.
One of my first experiences with this level of convention was ConnectiCon, and before that I had done Wizard World Philadelphia a couple times, and I think I had done New York Comic Con, but then doing ConnectiCon, like I felt out of place because I wasn't in cosplay, which had never happened before. and it was really interesting, and then that's what kind of inspired me to like once in a while I'll do something up so I could be a part of the cool kids. and I could imagine like, we have a lot of friends that have also done Anime Boston at the same, as well. And it's the same kind of thing of like, there's so many people who are dressed up. How long did it take you to like perfect any of your techniques and like in what you've made or what you've built? Like are there sections that you've just scrapped or scrapped entire costumes, or are you pretty confident once you get started?
It's not like I'm satisfied with the build. I'm struggling with most of the time is with the time.
Yeah.
Like I will have like an idea where I want to go with the cosplay, and then time is against me, and I will have it complete enough that I'm able to wear it at the con, and then I'm like, all right, I'll just improve on the next con, and so forth.
That seems to be what you see a lot
Yeah.
with like cosplayer. Like a friend of mine, literally, I think it was about a month and a half ago, was like, I need to start prepping for PAX. Like, I don't know, I need to, and I was like, are you kidding me? PAX is in like 3 months. What you have like that's so much time. Like I'm not even like there's no schedule. There's no like why are you even worried? Just start it in like 2 months. You got like a month to do it. And she's like, you don't understand this. You don't get it.
And even then,
Don't even
still
talk to
Con
me.
Crunch, which was your last 5 days or so.
Yeah, those are the worst days.
Even recent. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying like the con crunch is real. It's like you're literally staying up all night, and you're like, running around like a crazy person, just trying to get everything together. It's crazy.
Even I was following Jessica Negri's like live post, and like she bowed out of her last convention because her costume wasn't going to be ready in time, and it was making her like break out from trying to prepare and be nervous and be and everything. And it wasn't like one that she was supposed to be paid to be at. It was one she goes to enjoy.
Right.
And she's like, I can't do it. Let's just take some time off and work on me. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Even like a pro of her level, has to like realize when it's time to just like throw in the towel for a little bit and come back later.
Maybe take a breather.
a friend of mine, Kyle Stark, he does a lot of Iron Man builds. He'll do a new Iron Man pretty much anytime there's a new Iron Man armor in the movies.
Yep.
And when he does rewear one, he often like repaints it after almost every convention or every other show because it'll, the paint will start breaking down or wear in certain parts. Do you have to like do upkeep on yours?
Somewhat like in my Metapod cosplay, for instance, it has over 200 magnets in it.
What?
Yeah, because a lot of the armor panel held on with magnets, and like especially the shield alone has like maybe 50 magnets.
Huh.
Because it comes apart, and
Right,
it
right.
also sits in my back. So a lot of times those magnets will come out, and I will have to put them back in and make sure that they stay in for the next event.
So would that just be like a glue or an epoxy, or would you rather not reveal your secret?
I like to go between two methods: is a super glue or industrial strength hot glue.
Okay.
I wouldn't even think of that. Like because I remember seeing the shield in like Colin's boomerang video of it was like the shield separating.
Right.
It's just my mind does not work in the manner of trying to figure things out. I just accept it. Well, that shield stays together somehow. I don't know how, but I never would have thought it could be as simple as it's magnets. I never would have got
Even
there.
when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, maybe there's some clasps in there.
Yeah,
Just a couple things to hook it.
Yeah.
But that would still take work, where it seems not thinking of like, all right, he just puts it together and now it's just together. He doesn't have to like fumble with any latches or anything. Which, while we're talking about your outfits and your cosplays and everything and like how the shield works, let's make sure people know where they could see them if they want to.
Yeah, because we're talking a lot about. I imagine people might want to look at your stuff while we're talking about it. But where can people go to see this? Like, where would you say is the best opportunity for people to really take a look and see what exactly we're talking about?
They could go on my Instagram. On my handle is Savage83.
Easy enough. That's the one I've been scrolling literally this entire time. You can see the Metapod that we're talking about, and also what was the character that you?
Alphonse.
What?
Full Metal Alchemist.
I haven't seen Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
I can't even say it correctly.
It's the big armor one with the kid's voice.
I've seen but way back in the day, way back when I was in community college, because community college, there was a kid in my English class. It was English class who it was only a 1-day week class. And every week, he was always wearing a Full Metal Alchemist T-shirt. I just stared at this shirt because it was a 3-hour class. That's my experience with Full Metal Alchemist.
Have you ever been able to meet up with what's the other character's name?
Who?
Edward?
From what?
Full Metal?
I don't know. Unless we're talking about the kid with the shirt, I don't know.
When you've been Alphonse, have you ever met up with your brother at a show?
Yeah, I met many Edward, since he is more easier to cosplay as. So I met a lot of Edward, and I even have a couple of friends who wants to be my Edward.
Do they freak out when they see you?
Yeah, a lot of people did. They will freak out. They will scream. They will actually cry. I'm like, wow. This is awesome.
Damn. That's how rare it is to see the character you're portraying. It's too easy.
Not only that, but like a lot of the people get really attached to their animes, especially when the anime is like as good and as popular as Full Metal has been for so long.
Mm-hmm.
It just like seeing like physical incarnation of that. Like I could understand like an inspiring, like an emotional response like that.
Right.
Yeah, because Full Metal Alchemist is one of the greatest anime series out there.
Twice, apparently.
Twice, yes. The first time they made it, but the ending was a little controversial since it didn't follow the manga, since the manga didn't finish at that time.
Right.
And then they released a new series called Brotherhood, which actually follows the manga pretty well, and it's the best one to watch. And now released a live action
Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist movie on Netflix, which is decent. I wouldn't say great, but it's watchable.
Yeah, fun just as good as mine is. But, do you have any? Let's see. Do you want to keep improving on what you have now, or do you have more aspirations for future cosplays?
Right now, I'm gearing up for Anime Boston,
Mm-hmm.
That's like
and
end of the month, I think.
I didn't put that one down on my list. Actually.
yeah, it's end of the month, and I actually won free passes for that at a event that they held last year
Huh.
at a apple picking place, and they had a costume contest, and I won that one.
Huh.
So
Right. What's the Anime Boston? That's run by like a group of fans almost. There's like a community, and they hold other events throughout the entire year too. So I believe, because I think our friend Carly Wynn will look into like cosplay in the park or stuff like that. And there's a lot of like additional stuff too, just a convention that they host,
Right.
which is neat. I haven't participated in them, but they sound really cool. So what are you making for Anime Boston?
right now, I'm giving Metapod a weapon.
Ooh,
Really? In addition, like,
to the shield.
so it's going to be the shield, and then there's also going to be a weapon.
Yes,
Woohoo!
and the weapon is going to be held inside the shield.
Ooh.
Good lord.
When you keep doing additions, like since you've already built like the primary armor and everything, do you still like sketch out what the addition's going to be, or do you already like have an idea of how you want to add to it?
Yeah, I totally have to sketch it out to help my mind just like work around it.
Yeah. I've tried building straight from what I could imagine, and it didn't work out.
Just
And
from the ground up.
I had to ask our friend Brett to draw my monster for me.
Yep.
And then I had an idea of what to work off of and like what steps to take. But for some reason, I couldn't just do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm ridiculous.
I imagine a lot of people are in the same boat as you.
Let's see. I do want to ask, do you still do stuff for Halloween? Like, are you a haunter? Do you work at haunted houses, or are you just a big fan?
I'm just a big fan. Yeah, I never worked at a haunt place, but I like to go to them.
That's all you need.
But Halloween is I don't do anything for myself really anymore since I'm so busy with the con scene. But I do a lot of commissions around Halloween.
Oh,
Right. Yep.
I want to say it's almost like it's a shame. Like, I have commissions all year, not just for. You can ask for something in February, by the way.
Right.
Do you feel like Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a lot of commissions all year round, but Halloween is people I get the most request.
Yeah. What kind of commissions do you take? Like what's like a regular item that you would build for somebody?
Well, recently I've been selling a lot of masks from Tokyo Ghoul.
Okay.
Right. Yep.
I have these 2 masks that I made for friends, and it just became so popular that I put on Etsy, and it's just been selling like crazy.
What is your Etsy page?
Actually, I don't have my personal one. I
Okay.
just pick it back from a friend.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So he does all the marketing and like contacting the people. I'll just make the items, and we split like the profit.
Okay. Fair. Is it usually like you already have a thing that you've done that people ask for, or can they ask for something custom, like something specially made? And then with that, like, is there a time period where like you have to say no, or you don't know if you can make it, or it's like, yeah, that'll be easy. Like, what's the differentiate between all those?
Yeah, well, with those masks, it's stuff that I already made, and people can order from that. But a lot of times people do contact me through Instagram, and they will ask me to make something custom for them. And yeah, I would definitely need like a month or two, depending on what the complexity of the cosplay is.
Mhm.
But I did last year for New York Comic Con. Someone had contacted me 2 weeks before the convention to ask and asked me to make two costumes for them. I'm like,
Gee,
wow, okay.
2 entire costumes. Did you say okay to that, or was that like a pass?
Well, luckily it wasn't that hard of a cosplay to
Okay.
do, but still, it was 2 weeks, and I'm like, I had to like charge him extra, and I had no sleep at that time.
Damn.
Okay.
Did you end up going to New York Comic Con yourself?
I did not. I went to New York Comic Con maybe 3 years ago.
Mhm.
I think it's 4 years ago, and I had a good time, but I just don't like New York.
That's fair. That's more than fair.
Yeah, I can't really. Yeah.
I don't think many people are gonna fault you for that one. But is this
It's just when I was out there, it was hard to get around while you're driving and finding parking. It was just a bad experience outside of the convention. So I'm like, I think I'm gonna pass.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you can find parking and when you can actually find your way, it's expensive as hell. If like it's the first year we ever went to New York Comic Con, like year one,
Yeah.
there was a lot of mistakes that were made on my part. I learned from them, which was nice, but at the time, especially at low of an income as I was making at the time, it was rough. But for some reason, I've been back almost every year since, except one,
Yeah.
because I'm apparently a glutton for punishment.
Oh, ditto.
But, yeah, it's weird. It's weird how that happens. But in terms of designing cosplay, fabrication, things of that nature, is this something that you ultimately would like to pursue, like as a full-time career? I mean, for all I know, it is your full-time career, but is this something that you'd like to really expand on in the future? Or is it more of a hobby for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it did just started off as a hobby, and now I've been doing it almost professionally for a year now. I have my studio up in Lowell, Mass.
No way.
Yeah, and almost every Friday we will hold a cosplay night that people could come in and improve on their skills because we have the tools, the space, and the know-how. And yeah, it keeps me busy with all the commissions I have.
Right.
But I definitely want to make it bigger and expand on that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it already sounds like that sounds like a really neat operation, especially with the cosplay. Like, is that a sign up thing? Do people pay to come check it out? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So it's in a community workshop called Lowell Makes, and it's a member-based worker space where you will pay a membership fee monthly for like $49 a month, and we have open house every Wednesday, which is free, and also on the Cosplay Fridays, is $10 for non-members.
I had an ex-girlfriend who definitely, there was a thing like that. I believe it might have been this one, but it was out near Boston somewhere because she was considering moving to go participate in this artist community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there might have been a job associated with it, doing paperwork or whatever. But the idea of like having a community workspace that you could come and, share ideas or bounce ideas off each other and share skills and techniques and whatnot, and also have tools to work with. It's a really neat thing that I'm glad has been getting shared around, because, makers were always just like, it's one grandpa in his basement with all his tools and, makes the kid hold a hammer while he measures and shit. So that's really neat. That's a cool thing to share and help, spread spread the cosplay game and people that are fans of the same stuff.
And to get ideas too, like, because I don't know the first thing about working with foam or Wonder Flex or whatever it's called, all that. I have no idea how any of that works. So even just to see someone using it and like maybe get a couple pointers. By the way, you might want to do this because this is going to happen if you don't. Something I learned the hard way, and now like passing on
Right.
that knowledge. It sounds like a really neat opportunity, especially there seems to be a pretty good community up that Boston has Anime Boston every year, which has been going on for as long as I can remember. And then because we actually sent Colin and Vicky there a couple years ago, they checked it out, and reported there for us. And then obviously there's PAX, Boston Comic-Con, and at all three of those shows, there's a pretty heavy, especially Anime Boston, pretty heavy cosplay turnout.
There's a question that many makers get asked, either between makeup artists or cosplay people or haunt people, and I'm gonna guess that you might have been asked this too, and it's usually the answer is don't ever contact me again. Lose my phone number.
Why are you doing this?
Stop asking for this. And that's when someone asks for a ghostwriter to be able to actually set their head on fire. Can you make something so I could actually have a flaming head? And I've come across this. I know when Ryan was on from Hero Army, he's been asked this. And so have you had to deal with a ghostwriter request yet?
No, unfortunately, I have not.
It's probably for the best.
You're lucky. It's every time it comes up, it's like, is there a way? No, there's no way. Don't use fire.
Maybe don't set your head on fire, and we'll call it at that. That it is what it is. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to help you kill yourself. It's not what I'm into right now. If you want something else, we'll talk. But maybe a nice Sentinel or something. I don't see enough Sentinel cosplays.
Just one. Well, there should be a herd of them then.
There should be.
Yeah. Just to kill all the muties.
Obviously.
What inspired doing the Pokemon mashup? Because I mentioned Pokemon Go earlier. Like, you've been a big fan of Pokemon for a while. Like, what made you decide, yo, Metapod?
So, a friend of mine, she does a lot of Pokemon cosplay. Make the Satyr on Instagram. She asked me to be part of her swarm. I was confused by what you mean by swarm. She's like, yeah, she's doing a Pokemon bug group. I'm like, oh, okay. And she mentioned that she's going to be Caterpie, and she has a friend that's going to be Butterfree, and a bunch of other friends doing other kinds of bugs. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe I could do Metapod jokingly. And I looked him up. I'm like, wow, he looks so derpy. I'm like, how? I don't want to cosplay as that.
Now you know why there hasn't been a Metapod.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, maybe might be a challenge that I can do and make him look cool. And I'm like, you know what? He's green, he's pointy and spiky, almost like Guyver. So I'm like, that's a good mashup that I can do. And then this was born. So.
Would there have been others that you would have rather done? If having chosen this, it looks great. I'm not saying you shouldn't have done it, but if circumstances were a little different, would there have been like a second pick?
Yeah, people were saying that maybe I should do Scyther.
Oh yeah,
which is more almost like a humanoid Pokemon with blades and wings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I really considered of doing that, but I'm like, you know what? I definitely want to take up on this challenge and make a Metapod a badass.
Yeah, I think it's very safe to say that you succeeded. There's one picture on your Instagram from DragonCon. It looks like it was taken by Atomic Network. There's like the aura it looks unbelievable. Like with the lights and the mask and stuff. I have never seen such a badass Metapod. It is far and away. I know I'm stuck on the Metapod, but man, it's just it's fantastic.
Do you have any other people that like will see it and just yell at you like, "Harden attack"?
It's not.
Oh,
it's just
all
hard.
day, every day. Metapod use harder.
It failed. You ever see that comic? There was an old comic from back in the day. It was like Metapod sitting distraught at the end of a bed. And it's like Metapod used Harden, but it failed because he's disappointed his wife. Anyways, when Pokemon gets real meta, yeah, that's the real good
Oh
stuff.
yeah, I've seen that picture.
All right. I have a friend who went to a very liberal college up north, and they wanted to do like a women's march, and it was a topless march, and one of her friends went wearing like this pea pod costume.
Mm-hmm.
It was this green thing with his head sticking out, and I was like, what is this dude wearing? And my friend was like, oh, he went dressed as a Metapod, and I was like, I don't get it. And she's like, topless women, Harden. Yeah. Yep.
So back to
moving
cosplay. So you mentioned you're going to be at Anime Boston. Now, do you go to these, to the shows with like, do you have like your crew that you go to, or is it just because at least when we saw you at ConnectiCon, you were mostly a solo act, if I recall. I didn't really see you walking around with like a group or anything like that. How do you typically attend these shows? Do you gang up? Are you just by yourself? How do you?
Do you not have a con handler or a cosplay handler?
Sometimes I will have a handler, but I try to design my cosplay where I don't need a handler because it's kind of a bothersome for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially when they're busy doing their own thing. So I like to do it solo and just have fun walking around meeting people.
Mm-hmm. We do have our friends Vicky and Allie, and you may have seen Vicky. She has a Metroid armor.
Samus.
Thank you. Samus armor, and like when she's there, like Allie is usually her handler who helps take pictures or hold her stuff. And I think it was at PAX East last year. A guy came up to Allie and he's like, "I recognize you and I respect you. This is a thankless job you're doing, but she needs it." And Allie was like, "Thanks." And she was real comfortable wearing like pajama pants.
I have been a handler once, like full time. I've covered for you a couple times. Like, here, hold the bag while I take a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly small, but the first time, I guess it was my first convention ever. Was New York in 2009 when my girlfriend at the time did a Supergirl, and she had a really good Supergirl. It was pretty spot on.
Yep.
And I was not prepared to play cosplay. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I spent the entirety of the day holding a bag and looking really angry in the background of pictures.
It was when we were in a group, it would be weird guys like asking us if they could take a picture of her.
I don't care.
It's like you ask her. She's the boss.
Yeah. She is the one who's going to tell you yes or no. I'm holding a bag. Do you want a picture of the bag? Because then we'll talk. But yeah.
Is it tough to get downtime when you're cosplaying, when you're dressed up? Like, well, I'm gonna go,
eat lunch.
I'm gonna go molt my armor, and so I could relax a little bit and drink some water.
Yeah, a lot of times I'm out in the cafeteria in the cons getting food or whatever, and I'm like halfway in cosplay, and people will always approach me if they want to take if they can take pictures.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll quickly put it on and have them take the pictures, or I'll ask them like, hey, would you mind if I finish eating or whatever first?
Can I please be a human being for 5 minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
This is the first time I could reach my mouth in 3 hours.
So after Boston at the end of the month, what else do you have planned for this year? Are you going to be able? Because I know PAX is the weekend after Boston. Are you going to be able to make it there? What do you got scheduled for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I don't like it when the two events are back to back like that.
Yeah.
but PAX is the one to go to if you're in Boston. So I am going to PAX as well. We'll see what I got in plan for that. If I have time to do anything else that's new for it.
Right.
And then I also definitely going to Dragon Con again this year. And then I got something new working on for ConnectiCon. My
cool.
same friend who asked me to be part of the Pokemon group asked me to be in another group that we're putting together. Is a Legends of the Hidden Temple group.
What?
Yeah, and you know, with the Legends of the Hidden Temple, they have those teams that has like what the Purple Parrot, the Green Monkey, or Blue Barracuda, stuff like that.
Yep.
So we're actually going to be dressed as the warrior,
Like the Temple Guardians?
the Temple Guardians as those creatures. Yeah.
So now it's fun to encounter any of the competitors because you just got to chase them down.
Yeah, they have to give you a pendant. Otherwise, it's up to their partner to try and find.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna screw up the shrine every time.
Just put it together. It's just 3 pieces. It's easy.
I still like and we've talked about Legends of the Hidden Temple at length in the past, and I still go back every time to that one like testimonial that this woman wrote. She was like, "Hey, I was on Legend of the Hidden Temple X amount of years ago when I was a kid. Here was my experience," and like she just detailed. I can't remember where it was. I found it a long time ago.
Yeah.
But she detailed essentially how miserable it was, and like her partner was this idiot who like she carried him through the entirety of the temple games, and then like when they get to the actual temple part, they had to restart it like 5 different times.
Yeah.
Because like the door in this room malfunctioned. It was supposed to open, but it didn't. Like, it's okay, come back out. And apparently encountering a temple guard was literally the worst thing. Like, just absolute terror, just horrifying terror.
Really?
So yeah, it was it's a neat read, and someday I'm gonna have to go back and find it and link it. But
did you know Kyle made the face, the giant Olmec? Kyle had to make an Olmec for for some display.
I think I recall seeing
of life size, like a full size Olmec. Yep.
Good old Olmec and Kirk Fogg with those shorts coming down.
Was it for the after party? Did he make the display for some kind of 90s after party?
No. Kyle works out of Connecticut. He's just made designs, and there was some kind of like touring event, and I don't recall if he was working for Nickelodeon themselves or just like a licensor or something like that. I really wasn't sure like how or why.
But he got to build an Olmec,
it moved and everything. It talked. Yeah, it was cool.
Oh man. Yeah, so PAX is going to be that's coming, and that is a tough, especially in like the land of cosplay, because I imagine at Anime Boston, it's tough to wear a costume for an entire weekend and then possibly wear the same thing the next. It's like you might have to make repairs, you might have to fix some magnets, what have you, and then especially it's literally like, and PAX is 4 days now. So by the time Anime Boston's done, it's like PAX is in 3 days. Cool. But
yeah, pretty much.
But that's I do see scrolling your Instagram. There's also a Trunks. Any indication that Trunks may be revisited this year, because Trunks is dope. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to revisit him and actually make the sword and like a lot of improvements on him.
Have you been watching Dragon Ball Super?
Sad to say, I have not.
Same.
But people keep telling me that I should.
I hear it's our friend Colin. I think I don't know if he signed up for Crunchyroll or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But he's been watching it, and also our friend Ken. They love it.
I've watched it
from what I hear. Yeah, you and Ken were talking about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And from what I've like Googled a couple clips, and it's. Can you imagine like the way they are now, fighting like Raditz, like, but like the original, not like Raditz
Right.
has had time this entire time to get stronger.
Huh.
That Raditz from
That-
that's cool. I guess I'll just obliterate you, but
It wouldn't even be a contest.
it would like just be breathing on him. And he'd be
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Yamcha now could take out Raditz then?
I don't know, because he hasn't really had a reason to like train and exercise and elevate his power level.
He's got the Wolfang fist.
Maybe once he went to King Kai's planet, like maybe
Right.
that helped him out.
Yeah,
Maybe.
hmm
I don't know.
maybe a little bit. He could beat me up. So
Krillin's still the strongest human.
I can't fly. He can. So
Yeah, it's true.
yeah. Oh well.
He can grab those sensu beans.
Oh man. But that's rad. So yeah, you mentioned Dragon Con, ConnectiCon. It sounds like you already have a pretty full schedule as it is. I mean, we go to 5,
I think five's about
4,
it.
4 or 5, and that's exhausting enough. And we don't even cosplay. Like we get to roam without getting stopped every 5 seconds by people like us.
We have to stop. We stop other people to take their pictures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I go to maybe at least 10 conventions a year.
And it looks like did you win at Rhode Island last year?
I did.
And that was was it just a generic costume contest? Did they have like different divisions or anything like that?
Yeah, it's the only costume contest that they were holding, and it had different divisions, and I won my division, which is Journeyman.
Okay.
That's pretty rad.
And last year, also, I went to King Richard's Fair for the first time,
Nice.
and they had a costume contest there, and I actually brought Alphonse, and I won the contest there.
No shit.
That's awesome. Man, that's got to get hot though. Although Ren fairs are usually like in the beginning of fall. Do we have?
Yeah, it's in the fall, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
And a lot of my cosplay do have built-in fans, so it keeps me cool.
That's thinking ahead. That's important.
That's smart. Thinking
Yep.
with your head. Yep. What's again, I'm gonna hit you with another generic question, but it's always the one that I'm the most interested in. Is there a dream cosplay that you would like to do in the future? Like I haven't, whether it's materials, skill, whatever, what have you. Is there something that someday you will? I am going to do this, and it's going to be fantastic.
You know what's funny? I talked about this with Jamie Stone Dead,
Yeah.
and both her and I agree that RoboCop will be a future cosplay. Not future cosplay, but dream cosplay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just I want to do it where it's look like I just stepped off from the movie,
Right.
And a lot of times when I'm thinking about it, I get intimidated. I'm like, no, I can't be that.
I love the Ed 209. I like.
yeah.
There's some really nice like figures and toys of it, like really expensive ones that I can't afford.
I would spend an irresponsible amount of money on.
That like pretty much a mortgage payment is what. and I slipped up on a chance to own. There was what does he have? The Tech 9, his gun. I think RoboCop's gun is the Tech 9. I believe it's called.
Can't remember. It's big and shoots a lot.
And the auction nearby had like airsoft BB gun version of that, but I couldn't find any evidence of where it's been sold before, so I don't know how much it was worth. And I stopped bidding around $200 and let it go. And I should have kept bidding. That would have been great to own, but.
But another dream cosplay of mine would be a Gundam.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Like full size, like 60 feet tall.
I mean, not that big, but big enough.
Big. Is there a specific one? Because I'm really only familiar with the Gundam Wing series, and I know there's like 9 other Gundam series. But is there a certain like Gundam you would like, or
Like an original.
yeah?
I think I would like to try to do the Strike Freedom Gundam.
Which one's that?
Yeah, what series is that from?
I can't recall. 'cause
There's a
I
lot.
don't really
Who
watch-
knows? It's called Strike Freedom, though.
Yeah.
Are you looking it up?
I am looking it up. I'm totally Googling. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's like the main... I've seen this one a lot. It's the main, like, red, white, and blue one.
Okay, like the classic.
I think. Yeah.
Fair. Okay, cool.
At least according to Google. It could be a totally different one for all I know. But either way, that would be super rad. And even just from what we've seen so far, I have confidence that you could probably pull this off. That would be dope.
Thank you.
But I mean, it's just rad. I can't wait to see what you're coming out with later this year. We'll probably bump into you possibly at PAX. If not, most likely at ConnectiCon. Luckily we have the luxury of living near you. So
Yeah.
so we'll more than likely be able to catch you at a show and grill you about your latest creation. So, but we probably won't ask you to transform into anything if you happen to have something, but we might, but we might try to lay off.
We might leave you alone if you're eating too. No promises though.
But that's rad. Like we had said earlier, you can check Savage's workout on Instagram. He is Savage83. If you're in the Lowell area, maybe check out the Cosplay Fridays. Maybe go get your learn how to make something if you've ever been thinking about it. I mean, Savage, you had like your story it's one that I think might inspire some people too, because hopping into a cosplay at your first ever convention, that's baller. I do not cosplay myself. I think I would feel silly. I would be embarrassed. It's just one of those things I can't get over. But it's inspiring to see, like, yeah, I wanted to do it. I thought about doing it, so I did it, and now I do it all the time and love it. And people actually come to me to make them stuff. It's rad. I think a lot of people could take a lot away from that.
Yeah, totally. I'm having a lot of fun in the process, so it's great with the cosplay community.
It's rad.
It's not uncommon for Halloween people, haunters, and theater kids who already have a lot of costumes. It's just one short step into conventions. It doesn't take much.
But Savage, I gotta say thank you so much, especially with, I think this may be in the top 5 of most short notice episodes and all that. So we got to say thanks so much, man. It was an absolute pleasure getting to talk to you and learn about your creations and all that. And hopefully we'll be seeing you at a convention soon.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, no problem. Hopefully I see you guys in the conventions.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go check him out. Instagram, Savage83. If you're at a convention, Dragon Con, PAX, ConnectiCon, any of those nearby Boston, be on the lookout for some dope cosplay. And that's about it. That's all I got. Thanks again for coming on. That's going to do it for this week. Until next week, I have been JR.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Savage.
And this has been episode 311 of Opinions May Vary.